Namaste, Jai Bharat. Bad faith is a concept associated with the existentialism in Moss pattern. Existentialism, of course, people used to think at one time that that's a kind of philosophy, but then people then realistically said it's not just a philosophy because you can't call it as philosophy. At the most, you can call it as a movement within philosophy. That makes sense. And they have many such ideas as the other, bad faith, and things like that. Very, very attractive and very catchy, fascinating kind of things. But ultimately, in many cases, it end up as onion peel, like peeling an onion. Here, of course, I just suddenly remember of bad faith because there is bad faith in society. Many things, especially when it comes to religion. Here, of course, when you talk about religion, I'm generally using the concept of religion, though I intensely make a distinction between religion and dharma, because these two belong to two different levels and two different categories in reality. The kind of dharma what we see in Bharat and religion what we see outside, they have a lot of differences, but for a common understanding we have to use this word because there is no equivalent word and that's not generally used by people, so they won't understand. So when it comes to religion, faith is there can be bad faith and there are bad faith. And what are all these bad faith? And the consequences of bad faith are miserable in most times. One bad faith is that you have to obey unconditionally and blindly whatever is told by religion and on behalf of religion by someone else. That, of course, whatever is on behalf. So on behalf of religion, at once becomes on behalf of God. And on behalf of God is presented to you by a human who is supposed to represent, or in some other variety of human existence that gets complicated if there is something like that, but nonetheless. So it's on behalf, so which has to be obeyed and unquestioned. See, the point that you can't the moment you say that you can't question, then there's no point at all in that. And such things are bad faith. Maybe things told are good things, and maybe things told are not so good things, but nonetheless, once you take it unquestioningly, it's bad faith. Its content may be positive, its content may be negative. Mostly negative is practically what we see. Content may be positive, content may be negative. Nonetheless, if you unconditionally accept it just because it has been told by a given authority or an assumed authority, which is actually maybe not the case, and that is bad faith. And this bad faith acquires its authority and the power and force from the notion of religion and the connected God behind it, and etc. And there are two instruments, two whips operating behind it, like the UN. There are some privileged members who have this power of veto. It should be not veto, it should be veto anyway. So there are two whips, two missiles, ballistic missiles, like those Iran sent to Iraq. Those two ballistic missiles. One is that there is a typical threat of punishment. You don't obey it, you're finished. You don't obey it, you had it. And then there are great people who narrate the experiences of torture which you are positively going to get. You are positively going to suffer. That way they are very sure. And these unfortunate people also are very sure that I'm going to face so many things. That's number one. Number two, there are these beautiful promises of rewards. Beautiful promises of reward, and such promises of rewards that whatever you don't whatever you can't experience here on there are promised after death. To the extent of intoxicants and beautiful women and dancers and music, all kinds of fantasies based fantastic imaginations. These things about these two things are there functioning behind the forces of behind the religion, which really makes the whole thing bad faith. Now, is there anything like good faith? I don't know. If there should be something like good faith, that need not to be necessarily religion. I'm not an atheist. I'm not against religions, but then I would like to take it with a pinch of salt. Whatever people say and whatever things come to you, I would not like to say yes to things which are not convincing. And I am well within my philosophical rights. And in my tradition, we have a system of Mimamsa philosophy which allows me to do that. The Vedanta, for instance, you don't accept things once it is not convincing. That freedom we have in the Hindu Dharma. So I just belong very well to this frame. So I'm able to do it without getting branded as an atheist and irreligious, etc. It doesn't make a difference to me because I'm well within my well within my rights, given the philosophy of Bharat. So I don't think that you can narrate something like a good faith, like we have a bad faith in front of us. But bad faith is this: puts things into complication, and then very blindly and very foolishly people go after it. It's unfortunate. It's better that if you think about something like bad faith, and it's better if it is possible for anyone to think about things that you do and see whether they are bad faith or not. Don't think about good faith, but are they bad faiths which are not wanted or not? You just think and try thinking. You may get an answer. We meet again with something else. Namaste. Jai Bharat. Jai Shri Ram.